Okay, hi everyone. Today, right, we're going to touch on this topic called employee stock option plan. This is part of our knowledge bank playlist. Okay, so we just get into it. Okay, so what is an employee stock option plan, or in short, right, ESOP? Sometimes you have people coming up to you and telling you, I want to do up an ESOP, or I'm part of this ESOP. And this is what it is. Okay, so it is a form of employee share ownership plan. Basically, right, it gives the employees of a company the right to purchase shares of a company at a predetermined price within a particular time frame. For many of you, right, you might be familiar with an option to purchase when you purchase a property. So what the option to purchase does, right, is that it gives you the right to purchase the property at a certain price, and then it gives you a time frame for you to decide whether you would like to exercise the option. So in the same vein, right, the employee stock option plan, right, is the same. So you are giving the employee the right to purchase the shares at a certain price, and this option, right, will expire within a particular time frame. Okay, so just like a property option, right, whereby if you don't exercise the option within a certain time frame, the option will expire, which means that then that option becomes in effect useless, non-existent anymore. Okay, so for example, right, taking today to be, well, today is the 26th of June, right, of 2023. For example, right, if today, right, I were to issue an option to purchase 1,000 ordinary shares in my company for $1 per share, the option will expire on 31st December 2023. So essentially what happens is that once the employee is the owner of this option, the employee has the right to purchase 1,000 ordinary shares for $1 per share. Okay, and then this option he has to exercise before 31st of December 2023. So if let's say today we issue the option to the employee says straight away tells us, I want to exercise this option on the spot. He can do so the moment he is the owner of this option. Okay, so but if let's say he comes back to the company, right, let's say next year in 2024, then when the option has expired already, right, then he can't do anything. Okay, he can't exercise the option at all. Okay, so what are some reasons that the company might want to implement an ESOP? These are some reasons. They are not exhaustive. Okay, is to attract and retain talent. If you were to look at some of the startup companies, right, like let's say maybe Grab or Uber, when they are first starting out, right, what they will do is that they will issue ESOPs to the employees, and these employees, right, they can actually use this ESOP to have certain ownership of the company. So if let's say the employee is all in on the project, okay, and then maybe you want to attract that employee, then you would issue out ESOP, right, to sort of make it a deal sweetener for the employee to stay on with your company or to join your company. Okay, so I give an example of Uber and Grab. So when Uber and Grab were starting out, right, if let's say Uber were to offer ESOP and the compensation on all other terms were the same, right, then that might be one of the reasons why maybe a developer, right, a tech developer, IT developer might want to join Uber instead of Grab. Okay, and like I mentioned, right, to promote a sense of ownership, and also to promote long-term commitment, because you own shares in the company, right, it is likely that that employee would stay on with the company and help the company grow. Because if let's say in my previous example, right, if he bought one share at $1, when the company becomes listed, gets on the Singapore Stock Exchange or any stock exchange for that matter, then once it's floated on the stock exchange, the price typically would be higher than what the employee would have paid for it. So in that vein, right, the employee might stay on with the company, right, to see the value of his or her shares grow, because they were given the option to exercise to purchase certain amount of shares in the company. Okay, but typically sometimes the ESOP, right, the option, right, can be like a few years. So maybe like the option will only expire maybe 5 years from now. It can be that long. Okay, so it also can be an alternate method of compensation. Sometimes the company might not give bonus, but instead give employee stock options to the employee instead of maybe one month bonus or half month bonus. Okay, so what are some factors, right, to consider when implementing an ESOP? What you have to consider, what is the percentage of the total number of shares to be set aside for the ESOP, because once you do a ESOP, right, this will dilute the shareholding. Then this level of dilution needs to be considered, because once you start issuing shares to the employees, you will see that the existing shareholders, right, they, like, let's say last time maybe this person owns 20% of the company, but because you issue new shares to the employees without increasing the current shareholding, right, then the current shareholder would not be a 20% shareholder anymore. So his or her shares would be diluted. So the level of dilution needs to be considered. So you need to consider, hey, I do this ESOP for the good of the company to retain the employees, right? But I'm also diluting my existing shareholders, and these are the people who invested in the company. So what is the level of dilution that needs to be considered? You need to consider, oh, I'm going to issue shares, but it's not going to be so big that such that it will dilute the shareholding of the existing shareholders. And it's important because some people, they might be controllers of the company, controller being 25% ownership of the voting rights. But after you issue out new shares, right, through ESOPs, right, then that person might not be a controller anymore, or maybe that person might be, more than 50% shareholding. But after you issue new shares, you dilute his shares, then then he's no longer a majority shareholder. So these are the things that you need to consider when you issue out when you do an ESOP. Okay, so you also need to deal with the shares that are held by employees who leave the company. You would have to consider the possibility that the employee might exercise the option, then the employee might leave. So what do you intend to do in this case? Is there a clawback? Is there a buyback? All these things need to be considered. And that's why the ESOP, right, needs to be drafted, typically with some legal advice and drafted by a lawyer. So the setting up of an ESOP is not a simple task. So typically you would have to go to a law firm to get it done up. Then for our clients, right, what they do is that the ESOP all drafted properly already, right, then we are just administering the signatures of it, and we are also administering the issuance of shares if the employee decides to exercise the option. Okay, so that's all from me, and these are our contact details. So you can contact us at these two web pages. So one is our so-called corporate site, which is rafflescorporateservices.com. Then the other one is our client-facing sales site, which is singaporesecretaryservices.com. Most of our blog articles, in fact all of our blog articles are on singaporesecretaryservices.com. So you can visit our website and take a look at our knowledge based articles. So they actually cover what you need to know as a company owner or as a business owner, and you can go to our resource page on singaporesecretaryservices.com. So if you have any queries, right, you can always leave us an email at hello@rafflescorporateservices.com. So that's all from me, and I'll see you at the next video.